raining here in St. Petersburg. Guillermo Perez on pole from Dominic Hudson and Ahmed Celia. Cosby Sims starts 4th from Chris Corwell and Ryan Fogg. Ortega starts 7th from Christian Bentley and Blake Shen. And to run on the top 10, you've got Iker World followed up by KB Racing, Ron Hughes, Matheus, Antonio and Kim Nyla. The top 14 from Zenko, Akari Lopez, teammate Devin Butler and Devin Sigurd Coin. Francis Austin followed by Matthew Kloskad and Victor Alves, Ray Branco, Robert Animates and Dominic Vancelau. Well, we didn't expect to see this heading into our first race of the ChampCar World Series season. The Grand Prix of St. Petersburg is about to get underway, and we are green in St. Pete, just like our tyres. But it's a brilliant start off the line from Ahmed Celia, trying to hold it alongside with Dominic Hudson. Guillermo Perez getting the perfect start, holding on to that race leader. It's almost contact there, and Iker World returning to the ERL at 2. He's getting a 5-second time penalty, but facing backwards is his teammate Kimi Nyla, who in his first start in that number 77 car has now got front wing damage and drops to the very back of the pack. It's still a 1-2 for target Chip Ganassi. Perez from Dominic Hudson. On board with Chris Cornwell. Didn't have the best preseason test, didn't even have a good preseason test to put it in any words. 17th fastest time, but that doesn't tell the full story. He hasn't had any real representative running, but still out-qualified his teammate as they begin lap 2. The hope, of course, for Chris to go on from the FG Series Championship and to take a ChampCar World Series title, something that Casper LeBeau has opted not to try and do. He's in Formula E full-time now. So they make their way through the second sector. This, the shortest track on the calendar. Possibly not in terms of lap time, but certainly in terms of overall speed. Looking back with Ahmed, you can see so much spray being kicked off at the back of the ERL 02s. These, the more downforce efficient cars, running on sustainable fuels, just to maintain that carbon zero image that the ERL has. Guillermo Perez, Lam Fong, Danny Ortega, men coming in thick and fast with these fastest lap times. Ortega in that 28 car, certainly looking to do a lot better than he did in his rookie season, now a sophomore driver in this ChampCar World Series. And he's certainly going to do his best to do the very least. Just going to adjust my microphone real quick. And that's all done and dusted. So now, race leaders coming through the final couple of corners. In the dry, this is a real action point, but in the wet, everyone's spreading apart. You can't get close enough to make the pass because you don't have attack mode. So the best you can do is just stay in the spray, and when you're in the spray, it's not very nice. You're getting hit with face full of, I guess the best way to put it, annual rainfall, hitting your visor every single second. So all of the drivers just hoping that the rain clears up. Although that does lead to double stacking, and for some drivers that's going to be very good. If you're Chris Cornwell, for example, you're probably expecting to gain a single position because Hudson will have to double stack and lose quite a bit of time down in the pits. It's a very short pit lane here in St. Pete though, so you can see all of that being negated, but you can see a lot less spray being kicked up than what you might have expected in a wet race. You can see the rain quite slow. It's not the fastest rain we've seen. We have seen races with quite a lot more rain. You've seen the blue-walled wet weather tyres come out. But the regular inters seemingly doing what they need to do on lap 5 of 18. 13 laps to go in the ChampCar Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Iker World. Nord Hyperdrive calling up Iker World from his one season in the FG Series. Wasn't too much of a shock. The and Golan Driver did express wishes to return to the Electric Racing League. So to see him in ChampCar isn't surprising, but to see him down in 9th with a 5-second time penalty hanging over his head, that is quite surprising, especially seeing how quick he was in the pre-season test. Lap 6 of 18, 12 to go. We are officially a third of the ways through this race, as we're riding on board with the number 9. So how much pace does Iker really have in that hyperdrive racing car? Well, seemingly something similar to his teammate, actually. Taking a look at the middle, at the mini sector times between the two drivers, quite similar. The only reason Ike is not any further up the order is very simple. He's in traffic. There are 3 drivers between the 2 hyperdrive racing men, and in these wet conditions you need to be as close as humanly possible to make a pass. 8/10 of a second, that's not going to cut it. Guillermo Perez, the only man out there to have truly clean air. You could argue that Kimi Nyla does too, but when you're so far off the back of the pack that you might actually just fall a lap down, might not be worth it to mention that. So a very, very torrid opening race of Kimi Nyla's career so far. Brondon animates as his teammate. Ahmed Celia up in 3rd. Brondon himself down in 23rd. Of course, rookie driver, rookie season, all of that jazz, but still not at all what the Filipino driver would have wanted. Of course, the Philippines, a country that has given us many champions and race winners. But right now, Guillermo Perez in his 3rd ERL World Series. He's ready to take a championship, it seems. He's dominated this race so far with 10 laps to go. He's led every lap from pole position. He doesn't have the fastest lap, so the Grand Slam currently not in his hands. But he is growing quite the gap to his teammate. We don't expect to see this man fall down the order anytime soon. These Firestone intermediate tyres, by the way, certainly going the distance so far. But considering that they're down to 75% after 8 laps, we expect them to finish this race at around 48%. There's a potential strategic benefit in coming into the pits and strapping on another set of inters. I say potential because you lose a lot of track position, and I've already said it's quite hard to make overtakes in these wet conditions. The ERL 02s, the biggest ERL cars, just to facilitate that much downforce being generated, as we're on board with Chris Cornwell in 5th place. And all of the teams now just looking at their radars, hoping and praying that this rain can go away so they can actually make their way up the order. I think of all the drivers in the top 10, there's only one of them who wouldn't want this rain to go away just to maintain that track position, and it's Dominic Hudson in 2nd place. Again, already stated, double stacking would absolutely ruin his race. Estimates suggesting that he would drop down to around 11th place. We're on to lap 10, and the Inter's still going the distance. This is not something you'd see from any other compound. As we're on board with Ray Shen. For an opening round of the championship, I think out of 6 that have come before, this might just be one of the calmer events, and you wouldn't expect that in these wet conditions. Rest assured, we'll likely see some trademark ERL carnage returning in the future races of the championship, but for the teams, they might just see this as another test session to see how well their cars run in the wet and behind other drivers on board with Davi Carrera. Behind his teammate, his less experienced teammate, certainly not what the 19 would have wanted. A reminder of this man's career, he came into the ERL halfway through Season 1 of the IndyCar Series, took his first win at Indianapolis, and then returned to the ERL after Season 1 with Season 6 of the ChampCar World Series. And Nyla coming out of the pits there on a new set of inters and repairing that front wing damage. Probably should have done that after lap 1, because now Guillermo Perez has come past the start-finish straight. Out of the pits then for Kimi Nyla on lap 12 of 18. And he comes out right between Perez and Hudson. 6 laps to go. And I'm not surprised that something like this has happened. Hudson getting a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. That's a slow-moving Guillermo Perez. Big spin! Sims running into the back of Guillermo there. What has happened? I think that's a front puncture we saw. Oh! Running on 2 wheels. Guillermo Perez does have a front puncture. Big pile-up in the second sector. And I cannot believe what we're seeing. Ahmed Cilia now has the net race lead. As we go green again, still no full course caution, expected to see one, but that has absolutely ruined the Spaniard's race. A perfect race, brought down through no fault of his own, as we've got yellows in the third sector into the wall for Zenzo, the rookie in the 91. Now with damage, and we expect to see the man in 3 car come down to the pits with Kazuki Sims Takahana. So Sims also with a lot of front wing damage, at least enough necessary to come in. But look at that, the rain does seem to be clearing. This could have actually been the perfect opportunity to come in, but it's another set of inters for Guillermo Perez, so they don't think it is. Dominic Hudson, your race leader, from Ahmed Cilia and Chris Cornwell. Chris Cornwell could go on to take a race win without coming first over the line, and I do believe the rain is slowing. It certainly still is raining with 4 laps to go, but you can tell it's a lot lighter than it was at the very start of this race. And I am still so surprised by that. How is Guillermo Perez going to rebound from that? Now down in 21st after a magnificent pole run. An absolutely magnificent lap and a front row lockout for Target Chip Ganassi. Brought down by the fact that one of their drivers just had a tyre that blew up. Hopefully we don't see something similar to that come races end. 4 laps to go. These intermediate tyres should take us to the very end. It certainly still is raining, however, and that is the real kicker. We've seen the order shake up just a little bit, not too much with 3 laps to go. Fastest opening sector going to Zenzo in 23rd position, as Bentley and Ponte both come in. Is that for Inters? It is for Inters, at least for Bentley. Let's see, Antonio Ponte, his first stop in the ChampCar World Series, and it's Inters as well. Brondon Animates comes in as well. Dominic Vanstelau coming in. This is all drivers behind Akari coming into the pits and just going for the fastest lap, it seems. Softs for Brondon and for Vanstelau, and you can tell the rain has stopped. There's no rain. On lap 15 of 18, the rain has stopped. At quite possibly the perfect time for Dominic Hudson, but he stays out for lap 16 of 18. Ahmed Cilia stays out. Chris Cornwell, the first man in the top group to come in. Also into the pits there, that's Kimi Nyla. Soft tyres can take you to the end easily, and that is what the British driver goes on to. Who else coming into the pits? Akari Lopez comes in. The top 8 have opted to stay out to potentially the end of this race. It's all about speed for the number 96, the reigning FG Series champion, Chris Cornwell. Can they take their first race win today? Well, coming out in 12th is not optimal, but everyone in front of them, they're on 16 lap old intermediate tyres. It's dry, bone dry here in St. Pete, and Hudson's still out there on his own. This could be an absolute strategic masterclass from the number 96 Nord Hyperdrive team here, as Hudson stays out to begin this penultimate lap. Cornwell's going to have to step on it. Anyone coming in as Ica World comes through the final corner, while still struggling with Hart there, as Cornwell gets slapped with a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision with Devin Butler. That is not what the British driver would have wanted to hear over the radio. And he's a man with a fiery passion right now, but I just don't think 15 seconds over a lap is short of what we have here in St. Petersburg. That's just not going to happen. Brandon Animates, Dominic Vansilal, all of the guys on the dry compound tyres now setting the fastest laps. But I do believe we're going to see a Greenwald race winner. Perez with the fastest lap in 21st. That's the fastest third sector, excuse me. It's going on to begin. The final lap of the race is Dominic Hudson, as you can see, side by side between Ortega, as, into the wall is Matthew Hart with front wing damage. Ortega looking for his first career podium. Ahmed Cilia could be going for his first race win, because remember, Hudson still hasn't served that 5-second time penalty. It's going to come down to the line as we go on board with Cornwell. Keeping my eyes on Hudson's tracker. Up to 7th for Cornwell there. And for Dominic Hudson, he's building up a gap to Ahmed Cilia. He needs to hold on to that gap now to the end of this race. 18 laps on intermediates, with the final of those laps being done on a drying track. For Hudson, he'll be first across the line coming through the final corner. The Malaysian driver will be first coming across the line. For Ahmed Cilia though, how has this lap been coming across? It's not enough. Dominic Hudson wins the first round in season number 7. Cornwell came back to finish 4th on the road. He'll drop down to 9th place. I'm sorry, 8th place. Correction, 7th due to all the time penalties. And that certainly was a race that happened. Here's your podium. Dominic Hudson, the Malaysian driver, on his full-time return to the Electric Racing League, picking up where he left off with a race win. Ahmed Cilia could have been the victor today, but was just unlucky. Didn't have the pace on that final lap. And I believe that's a first career podium for Danny Ortega, the Spanish driver, coming home with 3rd place. 4th in St. Petersburg, Lam Fong, followed by Ray Shen and Matthias Antonio. Chris Cornwell, 7th from Christian Bentley and Ica World, with Davy Circurero rounding out the point scorers. The non-scorers for Butler, Austin, Hart, Lopez, Animates, Crosscut, Franca, Vansalal, Ponte, Alves, Perez, Sims and Zento, with Kimi Nyla being a lap down. So the Drivers' Championship, the exact same as finishing order today. So the constructors heading in to the next round of the championship look a little something like this. Tiger Chip Ganassi up top from Conquest Racing and Team Penske. Then it's Dragon Racing and Andretti Autosport, and a tie for 6th between Nord Hyperdrive and KB Racing Technologies. Sims Triple 8 TGR on 8th from Dale Coyne Racing, with Team Forsyth, Carl Motorsport and Trackhouse Racing yet to score. For an opening round of the championship, that is certainly some chaos that we saw. Unfortunate for Guillermo Perez, did absolutely nothing wrong all day long. That's going to make him thirstier for the next 14 rounds to come. And of course, after this now, the Formula E World Series making their first starts with the brand new ERL 03, so make sure to stay tuned for that. So from all of us here at Sparkle Motorsport, thank you so much for watching. We will see you guys next time when the Electric Racing League returns.